Before this court continues, who are you? Someone who owes that man an apology.
Your Honor, objection. Let her speak. Why is she here? I don't know.
You called him dangerous?
He was evasive.
I answered every question.
He challenged instructions.
By asking why?
He was hostile.
I never raised my voice.
Then choose your...
His background changes nothing. His purpose changes everything.
What connection do you have to him? The reason he came here?
He never said that. You never asked.
Watch your tone.
Where is the court notice? We logged his property.
Did you read it? I looked at it.
That was not the question, moved quickly.
The deadline was printed in red, and you ignored it?
I sent him to that door.
Ma'am, sit down.
Do not instruct my witness.
His name is in my ledger. What time?
2:17.
We never saw her. She was behind the glass. Then
Someone recorded everything outside.
That file is unauthorized. Sergeant, the body camera. Where is the original? Play every file. Stop that unruly!
stay in.
Before this court continues, I owe that man an apology, the Admiral said, and every head turned toward the black defendant in handcuffs. 2 officers had called him hostile, evasive, and dangerous. He had answered every question calmly, yet no one had listened. Why would a decorated commander interrupt a local hearing for a man no one recognized? What had the officers ignored beside the patrol car? And why did the judge suddenly demand every body camera file and courthouse recording? The answer would expose more than one false report and force an entire department to confront the price of judging a quiet man too quickly. Stay until the final ruling. The chain between Marcus Hale's wrists touched the defense table with a metallic click. Judge Helen Park lowered the file. Admiral, state your connection to the defendant. Rear Admiral Evelyn Shaw stood inside the courtroom doors, rain darkening her navy coat. The bailiff kept one hand on brass handle. Every bench had gone still. My connection, she said, is the reason he was at this courthouse. District Attorney Julian Cross rose. Your Honor, we received no notice of a military witness. You received it at 9:12 this morning, Shaw replied. It went to the wrong office. Cross glanced toward Sergeant Dale Mercer. Mercer kept his face blank, but his thumb rubbed the report's corner until the paper curled. Marcus said nothing. The cuffs were cold against his skin. A fluorescent panel buzzed overhead. Behind him, someone shifted, then stopped when the bench creaked. Judge Park looked to defense counsel Danielle Monroe. Did you know she was coming? No, Your Honor. Mr. Hale? No, ma'am. Shaw walked down the center aisle. She was 59, silver hair cut close at the neck. She looked at Marcus before either officer. I should have been here before he was brought into this room, she said. Officer Evan Rusk leaned toward Mercer. What is this? Let her talk. The judge heard him. Sergeant, do not confer. Yes, Your Honor. Shaw reached the rail. I request permission to submit documents under seal. Cross objected. The defendant is charged with obstruction. His background does not change what happened outside. No, Shaw said, but the purpose of his visit changes whether your officer's account makes sense. The bailiff carried the folder to the bench. Its edge scraped across the wood as Judge Park opened it. Marcus watched her read the first page twice. Why was this not included in discovery? Cross swallowed. I have never seen it. Sergeant Mercer? We processed what was available. Shaw turned toward him. Was the envelope in Mr. Hale's possession logged? Rusk answered first. We logged his property. That was not my question. A woman in the second row lifted her chin. Marcus recognized Miriam Soto, the clerk who had directed him to the side entrance. Her gray cardigan was damp, and she held a blue access ledger against her chest. Judge Park noticed her. Ma'am, are you connected to this matter? Miriam stood. I sent him to that door. Mercer's head snapped around. Bailiff, identify her and keep her available. Miriam gave her name. Her fingers tightened around the ledger until the cover bent. Cross asked for 5 minutes to review the documents. Danielle objected, while Marcus remained restrained. Judge Park looked at the cuffs. On what specific basis are they still necessary? Rusk opened his mouth. Mercer touched his sleeve. Marcus felt the chain lift as the bailiff stepped closer, waiting for an answer that did not come. Then the judge turned to the clerk. Pull every recording from the west entrance, booking corridor, and this courtroom. Preserve the originals. Mercer's face lost color. From the back row came the chime of a phone receiving a file. Danielle looked down. One message had arrived from an unknown number. I recorded everything outside. At 8:06 that morning, Marcus slid the kitchen window shut against the October wind and turned the coffee mug so its chipped handle faced away from Naomi's elbow. "You're coming early, right?" she asked. "I said I would." "You said that at my orientation." "I was there." After they stacked the chairs, Marcus folded the ceremony program. Naomi was 22, tall like him, with copper beads at the ends of her braids. She wore her blue graduation gown over sweatpants and kept checking the clock. "Front row," she said. 4 o'clock. They lock the doors when the names start. He tapped the 2 tickets beside his keys. "Front row." The kettle clicked as it cooled. Dry leaves scraped along the porch boards. Naomi pushed 1 ticket toward him. "Put it in your wallet now." Marcus obeyed. The second remained beside an old photograph. 2 men in desert uniforms, shoulders touching, dust whitening their boots. One was Marcus at 31. The other was Caleb Ward, smiling as if the camera had interrupted a joke. A knock came before Naomi could speak again. Elena Ward stood on the porch in a wool coat buttoned crookedly. At 41, she moved with the stiffness of someone used to being judged by strangers. A sealed envelope rested beneath her arm. "They released the review pages," she said. "Not all of them. Enough." Marcus stepped aside. "Come in." "I can't. I'll lose my nerve." Cold air carried wet pavement and chimney smoke. She handed him the package. A red stamp read, "Court filing. Time sensitive." "The clerk said before 4, not 4:01. If this misses today, the appeal closes." Naomi looked at her father. "Today?" "It's a delivery," Marcus said. Elena shook her head. "It's Caleb's last chance to correct the record." Marcus ran his thumb over the sealed edge. Some pages remained restricted, even from him. "I'll take it to the archive desk." "Promise you won't leave it with security." "I won't." "And call when they stamp it." "I will." Elena's eyes moved to the photograph. She reached toward it, stopped, then flattened the corner of the graduation ticket. "He would have remembered today," she told Naomi. "He remembered every date except his anniversary," Marcus said. A breath escaped Elena. "He claimed February had too many numbers." Then Naomi's phone chimed. Her ride was outside. She gathered her gown, kissed Marcus's cheek, and pointed at his wallet. "Show me." He drew out the ticket. 4 o'clock. "Front row." She opened the door, then looked back at the envelope. "Don't let somebody else's emergency become the reason you miss mine." Marcus did not answer quickly enough. Naomi lowered her hand from the knob. "Dad." "I'll be there." After she left, the car faded. Marcus placed Caleb's photograph inside his jacket pocket and the package beneath his arm. The paper felt rigid and cold through the fabric. Elena remained by the table. "You can still say no." "No." "You've carried enough for him." Marcus picked up his keys. "This isn't for him alone." At 8:34, he locked the kitchen door. Through the glass, the second ticket remained under the mug, touching the empty space where the photograph had been. By noon, the courthouse would close its main entrance without warning. At 1:58 p.m., Marcus turned into the courthouse lot and found orange barricades across the front steps. A contractor in a reflective vest raised one hand. Main entrance is closed. Masonry inspection. For how long? Maybe 2 hours. Marcus checked the dashboard clock, then the sealed envelope on the passenger seat. The graduation ticket pressed against his wallet. He parked near the west wall and crossed the lot. Yellow construction tape snapped against a post, and wet concrete scented the cold air. At the side entrance, a woman in a gray cardigan taped a handwritten notice to the glass. "Archive filings?" Marcus asked. She turned. "You're just in time." Miriam Soto, 56, wore silver glasses on a chain and carried a blue access ledger. She studied the red stamp on his envelope. "Before 4? "Yes." "Go around to the service door and wait beside the delivery sign. I'll find someone from records. That area says staff only. You're staying outside." She wrote 2:17 p.m. beside his name. "Tell anyone Miriam sent you." "Thank you. Thank me when it's stamped." The latch clicked behind her. Marcus followed the brick wall past a dumpster screen and 3 courthouse vehicles. The service entrance sat beneath a narrow awning. He stopped beside a faded delivery check-in sign and kept the envelope visible. Across the lot, Officer Evan Rusk lowered a paper cup. At 33, Rusk moved in quick, exact gestures. He set the cup on a patrol car and watched Marcus. Marcus checked his phone. 2:21. Naomi had sent a photograph of the stage beneath blue lights. "Your seat has my name on it now," he typed, leaving as soon as they stamp it. "Sir, step away from that door." Marcus looked up. Rusk was crossing the lot. "I'm waiting for records." "Step away." Marcus moved into the open. Wind lifted one corner of the envelope. Rusk stopped 6 feet away. "Why are you at a restricted entrance?" "A clerk directed me here." "What clerk?" "Miriam Soto." Rusk glanced at the building, then the packet. "Identification." Marcus held the envelope to his chest and reached slowly toward his inside pocket. "Keep your hand where I can see it." Marcus stopped. Rusk's mouth tightened. "Now you don't want to identify yourself?" "You told me not to move my hand." A delivery truck idled nearby, diesel rattling against the wall. The driver watched through the windshield. Marcus opened both hands. "My wallet is inside my jacket. The court notice is attached to this envelope." "Why were you checking the door?" "I wasn't. I saw you against it. I stood beneath the awning." Rusk looked at the security camera above them. Its status light was dark. The side door opened 20 yards away. Miriam appeared with another employee and raised her hand. A city van rolled between them. When it cleared, the doorway was empty. Rusk touched his radio. "Unit 12, send a supervisor to the west service entrance. Officer, call the clerk. I'll decide who gets called. The filing closes at 4. Rusk stepped closer. "That sounds like your problem." Marcus looked past him at the loading bay clock. 2:24 p.m. The envelope remained unstamped, and Rusk had not asked to read a single page. "Place the envelope on the hood." Marcus stayed still. "It contains court records." Officer Rusk pointed at the patrol car. "Put it where I can see it." Cold wind slipped beneath Marcus's field jacket. A power drill whined behind the brick wall. He laid the envelope flat on the hood. "Wallet." "You told me not to reach. I'm telling you now." Marcus drew it out with 2 fingers. Rusk took the license without checking the photograph. "Marcus Hale. Address current?" "Yes." "What business do you have here?" "A filing for the archive desk. Miriam Soto directed me here." Rusk pulled the court notice from beneath the flap. The page trembled between his fingers as the wind caught it. "This says County Court. We're standing at County Court. Don't get smart." Marcus watched Rusk's thumb cover the filing deadline. Call the clerk. A radio crackled. Supervisor en route. Good, he can call her. Rusk stepped closer. You think you're running this? No. Then stop giving instructions. At 2:29, Sergeant Dale Mercer stepped from a dark sedan, broad-shouldered, gray-haired, and precise. What do we have? Possible unauthorized access, Rusk said. He was testing the service door and won't explain himself. I explained myself 4 times, Marcus said. Mercer raised one finger. You'll speak when I ask. The drill went silent. Only the yellow tape snapped against its post. Mercer took the notice. Where did you get this? It was mailed to Elena Ward. Who is that? The person named on the first page. Mercer glanced down, but did not turn it over. And you are? My identification is in your officer's hand. Rusk passed over the license. Mercer studied it longer than the document. Why are you dressed like that? Marcus looked at his worn olive jacket. Because it's cold. A courthouse visitor lowered her phone but kept the lens aimed between her fingers. Mercer noticed. Sir, we can resolve this if you cooperate. I have cooperated. You challenged every instruction. I asked why I'm being detained. Rusk gave a short laugh. See? Mercer folded the notice, pressing a hard crease through the red court stamp. You are not detained. Am I free to take the envelope inside? No. Am I free to leave? Mercer's eyes narrowed. Why are you trying to create a problem? The loading bay clock read 2:32. I'm trying to meet a filing deadline. Your deadline does not override courthouse security. Then verify the clerk's name. We'll verify what matters. The side door opened. Miriam appeared behind the glass, but a deputy stopped her. She pointed toward Marcus. The deputy shook his head and guided her back. Marcus saw the blue ledger against her chest before the door closed. Sergeant, the clerk is right there. Mercer did not turn. He handed the license back to Rusk. Run him. You already have my identity. Mercer stepped closer. Coffee and wintergreen gum clung to his breath. What I have, he said quietly, is a man at a restricted entrance telling officers how to do their jobs. Marcus lowered his voice. And what you don't have is a reason. Rusk's hand moved toward the cuffs on his belt. The folded court notice fluttered once beneath Mercer's palm. Turn around and place your hands behind your back. Marcus looked at the cuffs in Rusk's hand, then at Sergeant Mercer. For what offense? Failure to comply, Mercer said. I complied with every lawful instruction. Turn around. The woman near the curb stopped pretending to check her phone. Silence. Marcus removed the graduation ticket from his wallet. This stays with my property. Rusk snatched the wallet. Hands back. Marcus faced the patrol car. The hood was cold through his palms. Mercer pushed the sealed envelope toward the windshield. Careful with that. Rusk closed one cuff with a hard click. The second followed tighter. One notch looser, Marcus said. You don't set the terms. It's too tight. Mercer addressed the witnesses. Back up. Active police matter. No one moved closer. No one left. A paper cup tipped beneath the bumper as Rusk guided Marcus against the car. Coffee spread across the wet asphalt. The old photograph slipped from Marcus's jacket and landed face up in the brown water. Pick that up. Rusk glanced down. It's evidence now. It's a photograph. Then it'll survive. He nudged it away from the tire with his boot. Coffee soaked through Caleb Ward's smiling face. Marcus turned his head. Don't step on it. The weight in his voice stopped Rusk's foot. Mercer noticed. Now you want to raise your voice? I asked him not to destroy my property. You're becoming agitated. Marcus looked at the woman filming. She lowered her eyes. Beside the coffee cart, a man in a canvas apron raised his phone. Ben Carter, 61, had a gray mustache and reading glasses hanging from his collar. "Officer," Ben called. He never touched that door. Mercer pointed at him. "Stop recording. This is a public lot. You're interfering. I'm behind my cart." Mercer stepped toward him. "Last warning." Ben's hand shook, but the phone stayed up. "Then make sure your camera is on too." Rusk glanced at his chest. No light showed. Mercer turned. "Put him in the unit." Rusk opened the rear door. The plastic seat smelled of vinyl and disinfectant. "My filing closes at 4, Marcus said. Mercer picked up the envelope. "You should have thought about that before creating a scene." "You created it." Rusk pressed a palm between Marcus's shoulders. "Watch your head." Marcus folded into the cramped seat. The cuffs bit deeper when the door shut. Through rain-streaked glass, he saw Ben kneel beside the photograph. Mercer blocked him. "Leave it." "It belongs to him. It's part of the arrest scene." Ben looked past the sergeant. He nodded. Ben stood, but kept filming. Miriam appeared behind the service door glass and struck it with her palm. She held up the blue ledger. A deputy pulled the shade halfway down. Rusk climbed into the driver's seat. "Nearest relative?" "My daughter." "Phone number?" Marcus gave it. Rusk entered the digits, then glanced at the graduation ticket in the clear property bag. "Today?" 4 o'clock. The radio crackled with a routine call. Rusk answered, as if nothing had changed. At 2:41 p.m., the patrol car pulled away. Ben's phone remained raised in the mirror, recording the sealed envelope in Mercer's hand and the photograph left in the rain. The holding room door shut at 3:07 p.m. with a hollow steel bang. Marcus sat on the narrow bench and rolled his shoulders against the pressure in his wrists. The room smelled of bleach, damp wool, and old coffee. Fluorescent light flickered above the wired glass. Across the corridor, Rusk dropped Marcus's property bag onto a desk. The graduation ticket slid against the plastic. "Name, date of birth, occupation. You have my license. I need you to answer. Marcus Hale, August 9th, 1983, civilian instructor." "In what?" "Risk assessment." Rusk gave a dry laugh. "That tracks." Officer Leah Ortiz entered. She was 27, compact, with dark curls pinned beneath her cap. Her body camera blinked red. "Sergeant wants the probable cause draft." "I'm finishing it." Ortiz looked through the glass at Marcus. "Was the envelope opened?" "It didn't need to be." "I saw the court notice." Rusk stopped typing. "You saw paper." "I saw a filing deadline and the county seal." Mercer entered with cold air and the scent of wintergreen gum. "Read it." Rusk straightened. Subject refused repeated requests to identify himself, approached a restricted entrance, and made a sudden movement toward an inner pocket after being warned. Marcus lifted his head. "That is false." Mercer ignored him. "Keep going." Subject became verbally confrontational and resisted positioning during detention. Ortiz's cup creaked beneath her fingers. He handed over identification. Mercer turned. "Were you the primary officer?" "No, Sergeant." "Then don't narrate someone else's stop." "I'm describing what I saw." "You arrived late." "I arrived before the cuffs." The fluorescent tube clicked off, then back on. For 1 second, the red light on Ortiz's camera was the brightest thing in the corridor. Mercer stepped closer. "Change your supplemental note. Write that you could not hear the initial exchange." "I could hear it." "From 20 yards?" "Closer." Rusk glanced toward the ceiling camera. Mercer lowered his voice. This report has to survive review. Use language that makes the sequence clear. Or convenient, Ortiz asked. The corridor went still. Mercer pointed at the computer. Write that his hand movement created a potential threat. Make it stick. Marcus heard every word through the glass. Ortiz looked down at her camera. My recording will show where I was. Turn it off. The incident is over. It's still uploading. Then dock it. She removed the camera and placed it on the metal counter. Its red indicator remained lit, reflected in the locker door behind Mercer. Rusk resumed typing. Keys snapped in quick bursts. Marcus stood. The cuffs were gone, but pale grooves circled both wrists. Call Miriam Soto. Mercer faced the glass. Sit down. She can confirm why I was there. You can explain yourself in court. My filing closes in 50 minutes. Mercer checked his watch. Not our responsibility. Marcus's phone lit inside the property bag. Naomi calling. A second notification appeared. Front row. Don't be late. Ortiz saw it first. Her mouth tightened. Mercer turned the phone face down. Finish the report, he told Rusk. Behind him, the red light on Ortiz's camera kept recording. At 3:18 p.m., the intake officer slid a form beneath the glass. Sign here and you can be arraigned before the afternoon docket closes. Marcus read the charge line. Obstruction. Failure to comply. He left the pen untouched. I want counsel. That will slow things down. So will signing something untrue. Across the corridor, his phone vibrated inside the clear property bag. The plastic made the sound small and trapped. Officer Ortiz entered. His daughter has called 4 times. Rusk did not look up. Family calls happen after processing. It is processing. Mercer emerged carrying 2 pages. What's the delay? He asked for counsel. Mercer set the pages down. Mr. Hale, the prosecutor may release you today if you accept responsibility. Otherwise, you wait for a hearing. What responsibility? Refusing instructions. Which instruction? Mercer tapped the report. You can argue details later. The wall clock passed 3:23. Warm air rattled from a vent, but the metal bench stayed cold. Call the courthouse archive, Marcus said. Ask for Miriam Soto. We are done discussing the envelope. The deadline is 37 minutes away. That is not part of this case. It became part of it when your officer took it. The intake officer cleared his throat. Sergeant, property includes a sealed court filing. Mercer's jaw tightened. Log it. As evidence or personal property? Evidence. Marcus stood. Then document when you prevented its delivery. Rusk looked at him. Sit down. Marcus sat. At 3:31, Danielle Monroe arrived carrying a rain-speckled folder. She was 40, narrow-faced, and removed her glasses before difficult questions. She sat opposite Marcus. They offered time served and immediate release, she said. What do I admit? That you failed to follow a lawful order. I didn't. I need to know what you can prove. A clerk directed me to the door. A vendor filmed it. One officer heard the report being changed. Danielle's pen stopped. Which officer? Ortiz. Will she say that? Marcus looked toward the one-way glass. Not if they make her afraid first. Danielle studied the marks around his wrists. Your daughter's ceremony begins in 22 minutes. He said nothing. If you take the deal, you might still reach the final names. And Elena Ward's filing? Danielle checked the property list. Still here. Then the deadline is already dying. His phone lit beyond the glass. No call, only a photograph from Naomi. Rows of blue gowns, a white-lit stage, and one empty chair in the front row. A card on its back read, "Dad." Danielle saw it through the open door. "Marcus," she said quietly, "sometimes getting home matters more than being right." He looked at the plea form. The room smelled of toner and burned coffee. Down the corridor, a printer fed page after page. Being home under a lie is not the same as coming home. Danielle put her glasses back on. Then we fight. At 3:47, the archive window closed. In another building, a clerk stamped Elena Ward's appeal packet as not received. At 3:52, Naomi's phone went dark in her lap as the first graduate's name was called. Marcus remained behind the glass, listening to his phone vibrate one final time. At 4:11 p.m., Danielle placed Naomi's photograph on the interview room table. A white card bearing Dad leaned against the backrest. "They've started the final row," Danielle said. "The prosecutor will hold the offer for 10 more minutes." Marcus kept his hands beneath the table. His sleeves scraped the cuff marks. "And if I sign?" "You admit you ignored a lawful command. You leave tonight. The record may be sealed later." "May." "Yes. And the report becomes true because I was tired enough to agree." Danielle removed her glasses. Beyond the wired window, keys clicked. "I'm asking whether your daughter should lose the rest of today, too." Naomi had placed his ceremony ticket on the vacant seat. The blue ribbon curled beneath the lights. His thumb moved toward the pen. The door opened. An officer set Marcus's property bag on the table. Inside lay his wallet, folded notice, and Caleb's photograph. It was damp, its edges stained brown by coffee. Caleb's face had blurred, but his hand still rested on Marcus's shoulder. "The envelope?" Marcus asked. "Held as evidence." "Evidence of what?" The officer avoided his eyes. "Ask the sergeant." After he left, Danielle lifted the photograph by one corner. "Who is he?" "Caleb Ward." "The finding says he abandoned protocol," Marcus said. "Those pages show the order came from above him. And you promised his widow you would file them." "Before 4. Danielle checked the clock. "That deadline is gone." Marcus closed his fingers around the plea pen. "Maybe Naomi was right," he said. "Maybe I keep choosing dead men over the people waiting for me." Danielle turned the photograph toward him. "What would signing this choose?" A cheer rose from Naomi's video message. She appeared for 3 seconds, smiling as she crossed the stage, then looking toward the empty chair. Marcus stopped the video. "Bring me the form." Danielle slid it closer, but covered the signature line. "Read paragraph 3. The defendant acknowledges that officers issued clear, repeated, lawful instructions before detention." "Did they?" "No." "Then I cannot advise you to sign it." "You said it was my fastest way out." "It is." She removed her fingers. Marcus uncapped the pen. Plastic cracked in his grip. He looked at Caleb's ruined photograph, then at Naomi's empty chair. "No." Danielle exhaled. "All right. I won't make their report cleaner than what they did." She drew a line through the page and wrote, "Rejected" across it. A knock sounded. Mercer entered with Rusk behind him. "You are turning one bad afternoon into a public record," Mercer said. Marcus placed Caleb's photograph inside the bag. "You already did that?" Rusk shifted his weight. "Sergeant, the courthouse clerk keeps calling." "Why?" "She says she has an access log, and a vendor recorded the stop." Danielle stood. "Preserve both." "You don't give orders here," Mercer said. "No, but a judge does." Her phone buzzed. She read the message, then showed Marcus. "I have the original video. He never touched the door." Danielle's expression changed. "The next hearing is no longer about getting you home," she said. It is about making sure they cannot erase what happened before you get there. Danielle was still holding the phone when someone knocked twice on the interview room door. Miriam Soto entered first, rain beading on her gray cardigan. She carried the blue access ledger against her chest. Ben Carter followed with his canvas apron folded over one arm and a phone sealed inside a clear food bag. "I was told witnesses wait downstairs," Miriam said. Danielle pulled out 2 chairs. "Not anymore." Marcus stood. "You came back." "I never left. They moved me from hallway to hallway until the afternoon docket started." The room smelled of wet wool, toner, and bitter coffee. Outside, a cart rattled across tile. Miriam opened the ledger to a page marked with a yellow tab. Her blue signature sat beside 2:17 p.m. "I wrote his name when I sent him to the service entrance," she said. "I called records at 2:20 and told them he was waiting." Danielle photographed the page. "Did any officer ask you about that?" "One deputy said the matter was handled." Miriam glanced at Marcus's wrists. "I should have pushed harder." "You tried," Marcus said. "I watched the car leave." Her fingers remained on the timestamp. Ben set the phone beside the ledger. At 61, his gray mustache twitched whenever he held back a sentence. "The police asked whether I edited this," he said. "So I brought the original." Danielle connected it to her laptop. Rain tapped the narrow window while the file copied. Ben pointed at the screen. "Start before the officer crossed the lot." The video opened with wind and the clatter of cups. Marcus appeared beneath the awning, envelope visible in both hands. Rusk approached. Every answer carried through the microphone. "Why are you checking the door?" "I wasn't." Miriam closed her eyes. Then Mercer's voice filled the room. "What I have is a man at a restricted entrance telling officers how to do their jobs." No raised voice followed. No sudden movement. Only construction tape snapping in the wind. Danielle replayed the moment Rusk reached for the cuffs. "This contradicts both reports." Ben leaned closer. "Keep watching." On screen, Caleb's photograph fell into spilled coffee. Marcus asked for it once. Rusk moved it with his boot. The room went still. Miriam touched the laptop. "That was the photograph in his pocket." "Yes," Marcus said. Ben looked down. "I picked it up after they left. The sergeant made me put it back." Danielle saved 3 copies. "One goes to the court server. One to an outside drive. One stays with me." Her phone vibrated. Unknown number. "Ask Mr. Hale whether the officer with the red camera can speak safely." Danielle read it aloud. Marcus looked through the wired glass. "Ortiz." A second message appeared. "The file uploaded to the department is shorter than the recording on my device." Danielle began typing. "Can she prove it?" The reply came at once. I heard Mercer say, "Make it stick." The camera was still running. Footsteps stopped outside. Danielle lowered the laptop screen. Ben pocketed his phone. Miriam kept one hand on the ledger. The handle turned, but no one entered. Then another message lit the screen. "They are asking me to surrender the camera before I speak to anyone." Danielle read the message twice, then turned the phone face down. "Do not answer from this room," Marcus said. "She reached out to us. And they are watching that door." Danielle reopened her laptop. "Miriam, can the court preserve exterior footage without notifying the department?" "The security office can, but the West camera was marked inactive." "Marked inactive is not the same as inactive. The replacement system records locally even when the status light fails." At 4:36 p.m., Miriam led Danielle and Ben through a corridor smelling of floor wax and rain. Marcus remained behind with a deputy, separated by glass and a locked door. The monitor gave off a dry electric heat, and rainwater ticked from Ben's sleeve onto the tile. "West entrance," Danielle said. The technician frowned. "That feed has been dark for weeks. Open the archive." A gray progress bar stopped at 99%. Ben whispered, "Please." The technician struck one key. The file opened. Marcus appeared beneath the awning at 218, standing where Miriam had sent him. He never touched the door. When Rusk approached, Marcus moved into the open before being ordered. "Copy the original," Danielle said. "I need authorization." Judge Park's clerk appeared. "You have it. Preserve every frame from 1:45 to 3:15, plus the booking corridor." Across town, Captain Thomas Reed was leaving the Naval Command Office when an assistant stopped him by the elevator. "Sir, this came back from County Court." Reed took the envelope. Its corner carried a 9:12 a.m. stamp and a routing label for the wrong division. This was supposed to confirm Hale's filing authority. It went to Civil Records. Who signed the cover sheet? "I did." "Call Admiral Shaw." At 4:49, Rear Admiral Evelyn Shaw answered. Reed explained the misrouting, arrest, and missed deadline. "Is Hale still in custody?" "Yes, ma'am." "For what?" "Obstruction and failure to comply." Papers shifted at her end. Did anyone verify why he was there? Apparently not. "Send me the notice, authorization, and every message tied to the delivery." "Tonight?" "Now." Back at the courthouse, the archive copy finished with a soft chime. Danielle checked the file size, then copied it to an outside drive. Her phone vibrated. "Ortiz. They took my camera. I saved the upload code." Danielle typed, "Do not delete anything. Do not meet alone with your sergeant." Another message arrived. "Unknown sender. Naval Command is requesting Marcus Hale's hearing schedule." Danielle returned to the interview room and placed the drive on the table. "They have the outside video," she told Marcus, "and Command found your paperwork." He looked at the drive, then at the clock. "Elena's deadline is still gone." "Yes." "And Naomi's ceremony is over." "Yes." "The story they wrote about you is coming apart," Danielle said. In the hallway, Mercer's voice rose behind a closed door. "Who authorized that copy?" No one answered. At 5:03 p.m., the courthouse printer started again. It produced a preservation order bearing Judge Park's signature and noticed that Rear Admiral Evelyn Shaw intended to appear in person. At 9:14 the next morning, the courtroom doors opened before Judge Park called the case. Rear Admiral Evelyn Shaw entered, rain shining on her coat. Captain Thomas Reed followed with 2 sealed folders. The gallery's murmur vanished. "Admiral Shaw," Judge Park said, "you asked to address the court." "Yes, Your Honor." Marcus sat beside Danielle with his hands cuffed in front. The chain touched the table. Shaw saw it and stopped in the aisle. "Those restraints should be removed." Julian Cross rose. "The state has not agreed." Judge Park faced him. "What present danger does Mr. Hale pose?" Cross glanced at Mercer. Mercer looked down. "Bailiff." The key scraped steel. Marcus placed his freed hands beside Caleb's stained photograph. Shaw took the witness chair. "I am Rear Admiral Evelyn Shaw, with Atlantic Readiness Oversight." Danielle approached. "Why was Mr. Hale at this courthouse?" "To deliver a protected review packet concerning Caleb Ward's service record. Our office authorized him because he witnessed the operation." "Was he trying to enter a restricted area?" "No. He was directed to wait outside the West Service door." Reed handed the routing notice to the clerk. Cross stood. "Military credentials do not excuse disobeying police." "They do not," Shaw said, "nor do police credentials excuse inventing disobedience." What is his professional background? Danielle asked. He served 20 years in naval special operations. For 12, he was a SEAL sniper and reconnaissance specialist. He now teaches threat assessment and restraint. Rusk's pen stopped. Cross lifted a page. Then why didn't he announce that? Because the packet involved restricted findings, Shaw said, and because a citizen should not need a decorated resume to have a court notice read. Ben lowered his phone, though it kept recording. Danielle placed the misrouted confirmation on the evidence rail. Did your command contribute to what happened? Yes. Our verification went to the wrong office. Mr. Hale carried an obligation we failed to support. Shaw turned toward Marcus. I am sorry. He did not move. I am sorry you had to defend your presence when my office should have confirmed it. I am sorry the Ward family lost its deadline. And I am sorry your daughter looked at an empty chair. The opened cuffs lay beside his hand. Judge Park lowered her gaze to the reports. Sergeant Mercer, Officer Rusk, you wrote that Mr. Hale refused identification and made a threatening movement. Mercer cleared his throat. That was our perception. Perception is not evidence. Shaw opened the second folder. Officer Ortiz's original recording was preserved before her camera was surrendered. Mercer's face changed. Play it, Judge Park said. The speakers clicked. Static filled the room, then Mercer's voice. Make it stick. No one shifted. Ortiz answered. He showed identification. Then Rusk. We can clean the wording. Cross slowly sat down. Judge Park held the report above the bench. Does the state still intend to rely on this? I need a recess. No. First, the court will hear the complete recording. Marcus's fingers finally loosened from Caleb's photograph. The recording resumed with a scrape and the buzz of the booking room lights. Rusk's voice came first. He kept challenging me. Ortiz answered. He asked why he was being detained. That's the same thing. No, it isn't. Judge Park watched Rusk. Yesterday you testified that Mr. Hale raised his voice before you applied the cuffs. He did. Danielle stepped toward the monitor. At what point? When he refused to move away from the door. She played the exterior video. Wind snapped the construction tape. Marcus's voice stayed level. I'm waiting for records. Step away. Marcus moved into the open. Danielle paused the frame. Where is the raised voice? The phone may not have captured it. The courthouse camera has audio. She played the second file. The same exchange filled the room. In the gallery, papers stopped rustling. Rusk looked toward Mercer. Judge Park noticed. Answer, counsel. I perceived his tone as confrontational. Did you read the court notice? I looked at it. Did you call Miriam Soto? No. Did you see the filing deadline? Rusk's mouth opened, then closed. I don't recall. Danielle placed the notice beneath the camera. You folded across the deadline. I may have seen it. Mercer took the chair next. Cross asked, Did you pressure Officer Ortiz to change truthful observations? No. Did you say, make it stick? I meant make the sequence clear. Danielle rose. Clearer than what happened? Clear enough for review. She pressed play. Mercer's recorded voice filled the courtroom. Write that his hand movement created a potential threat. Make it stick. The sound ended. Only the ventilation system hummed. Did Mr. Hale make a threatening movement? He reached inside his coat. After Officer Rusk asked for his wallet? That was not clear at the time. It is clear on 2 videos. I relied on my officer. You also had a clerk behind the glass holding up an access ledger. I did not see her. You never turned around. Mercer gripped the rail. We were securing a scene. A scene created by whom? Ortiz entered. A pale line marked where the camera mount had pressed her uniform. When did you first see Mr. Hale's documents? Danielle asked. Before the handcuffs closed. Could you read them? I saw his name, the county seal, and time sensitive in red. Did he resist? No. Did he shout? No. Why was your uploaded file shorter than the original? Ortiz looked toward Mercer, then back to the judge. I docked the camera while it was recording. Later, the system showed a shorter file. I saved the upload code because the duration did not match. Judge Park leaned forward. Who had access afterward? Sergeant Mercer and the evidence supervisor. Mercer bent toward his attorney. His chair scraped across the floor. Cross stood. Your Honor, the state requests a recess to reassess its position. Judge Park closed the report. 15 minutes. The recordings remain under seal, the officers remain available, and no device or file leaves this building. Cross carried the charging papers into the corridor without looking at Marcus. They no longer resembled an accusation. They looked like evidence. 15 minutes later, Julian Cross returned without the charging folder. He faced Judge Park. The state moves to dismiss all counts against Mr. Hale with prejudice. A radiator clicked beneath the windows. Rain streaked the glass. On what basis? The evidence does not support prosecution. Say it plainly. Cross looked toward Marcus. The reports were contradicted by video, audio, and witness testimony. Marcus kept both hands beside Caleb's photograph. Judge Park signed the order. The charges are dismissed. Send the recordings, reports, and access logs to Internal Affairs and the Civilian Oversight Commission. Nothing is to be altered or destroyed. Mercer's attorney whispered, Do not respond. Rusk sat rigid, one knee bouncing. Officer Ortiz is protected as a cooperating witness, the judge continued. Any retaliation will come back to this court. Ortiz loosened her grip on her sleeve. Outside, microphones rose before Marcus reached the marble steps. Camera lights warmed his face while wind drove wet leaves along the railing. Mr. Hale, how does it feel to be vindicated? Will you sue the city? Danielle raised one palm. Give him room. Marcus looked past the reporters. Elena stood by a column, clutching a filing receipt. Naomi was beside her in yesterday's blue dress under a borrowed coat. A reporter pushed closer. The Admiral apologized in open court. Is that justice? It is an apology, Marcus said. What do you want now? The truth preserved. About your arrest? About every arrest where the person in cuffs has no Admiral walking through the door. The microphones stopped moving. Behind the glass doors, Mercer removed his badge. His hand missed the open drawer twice. Metal struck wood with a flat sound. Rusk stood near security while a lieutenant read from a notice. You are suspended from street duty pending review. For following a supervisor? For signing a statement the evidence does not support. Rusk looked toward the steps. Marcus was visible through the glass, surrounded by people who had ignored him the day before. Mercer spoke without turning. Say nothing. You told me the wording would hold. You signed it. The lieutenant took Rusk's access card. Plastic scraped across the counter. On the steps, Rachel King, a 36-year-old reporter with a red notebook and wind-blown black curls, waited until the shouting stopped. Mr. Hale, one question. Marcus nodded. What should people remember about you? Nothing special. You served 20 years. That is not why they should have read the notice. Elena stepped forward with the receipt. The appeal was reinstated this morning. You got it reopened? The judge signed an emergency order. Naomi moved closer, but did not hug him. You missed the ceremony. I know. You left your seat empty. I know. She studied the marks around his wrists, then placed the white Diad card in his hand. I kept it. Marcus folded it once and slipped it behind Caleb's photograph. A camera shutter snapped. He turned. That picture is not for your headline. No one argued. As the crowd thinned, Rachel closed her notebook. Through the doors, Mercer's badge still lay beside the open drawer, untouched. 3 days after the dismissal, Marcus stood at the back of a municipal training room while a projector warmed the air with a faint plastic smell. On the screen, the first line of a proposed policy read, "Before restraint, state the specific legal basis." Arthur Bell, 55, chair of the Civilian Oversight Commission, tapped the sentence with a capped marker. His jacket hung over a chair, one cuff damp from rain. "This is advisory language," he said. "Departments need flexibility." "Then it will be ignored," Marcus replied. The police chief shifted a stack of papers. "Officers make decisions in seconds." "So did Rusk." No one answered. Leah Ortiz sat near the door, out of uniform during the review. A red mark remained where her body camera had pressed against her collar. Bell cleared his throat. "What exactly are you asking for?" 3 things. A stated basis before detention when circumstances allow. Independent storage of original video. No supervisor rewriting a subordinate's report. Supervisors edit reports every day, the chief said. "Correct grammar," Marcus replied. "Do not manufacture fear." Ortiz opened her folder. "Add an audit trail. Every change should show who made it and when." "You are still under review." "So is the system that shortened my file." A floor buffer hummed outside, then faded. At 10:42 a.m., the city attorney slid over a revised page. "Mandatory documentation of legal cause," she read. "Automatic preservation of video from first contact through release. Original files stored beyond department control. Report edits logged and visible to the author." "And retaliation protection," Ortiz said. The attorney added it in blue ink. "This makes every stop slower," the chief said. Marcus turned the page toward him. "Good." Bell studied Marcus. "You do not want a settlement figure?" "I want fewer people needing one." At noon, they crossed to the courthouse. Workers replaced the faded service door sign with one directing visitors to the filing desk. Miriam Soto watched beneath the awning, holding the same blue ledger. "They finally spelled archive correctly," she said. Ben Carter handed her coffee. "That only took public humiliation and a court order." Inside, officers gathered for training. Marcus stood beside a screen showing the west entrance footage paused before Rusk crossed the lot. A lieutenant asked, "What threat do you see?" Silence. Ortiz stepped forward. "None yet." "Then what happens next?" A young officer said, "Verify the clerk. Read the notice. Ask why he's there." Marcus nodded. "Facts before interpretation." The video moved. Construction tape snapped in the wind. Everyone watched the moment a question became an accusation. Afterward, Bell handed Marcus the final policy. The first page carried the commission seal and the date, October 23rd, 2026. "Effective immediately," Bell said. Marcus ran his thumb beneath the opening sentence. Before leaving, he placed the policy beside Ortiz's upload code and Miriam's 217 entry. 3 records had survived because someone refused to discard them. His phone vibrated. "Naomi, I'm at the ceremony hall. I saved your seat." Marcus folded the policy, slipped it beneath Caleb's photograph, and headed for the door. At 6:12 that evening, Marcus pushed open the ceremony hall doors and found Naomi alone beneath the blue stage lights. Empty chairs faced a silent podium. The air still held the sweetness of cut flowers. Naomi had removed her graduation gown and held the white DID card between two fingers. "You came," she said. "I said I would." "Yesterday." Marcus stopped beside the seat she had saved. "I know." She placed the card on the cushion. "I kept thinking someone would call and tell me where you were. Then I thought maybe nobody knew." "They knew. That's worse." The ventilation stopped. The paper card sliding beneath Naomi's palm sounded loud. "I was angry about the ceremony," she said. "But I was more afraid you had disappeared behind another locked door." Marcus looked at the marks around his wrists. "I should have found a way to reach you." "You couldn't." "I still should have tried." Naomi rested her forehead against his shoulder, then took Caleb's stained photograph from his jacket. She placed the DAD card behind it and returned both. "Now it has 2 reasons to come home," she said. 2 weeks later, Elena sat beside Marcus at the archive desk while Miriam stamped the restored appeal. "Accepted," Miriam said. "No further delay." Elena held the receipt with both hands. Caleb's record may finally be corrected. Marcus slid the packet forward. "That's all he asked for." Outside, Ben had reopened his coffee cart. A notice beside the register explained how citizens could request public footage. He turned a fresh cup so the handle faced Marcus. "No charge." "Then it isn't coffee. It's evidence tampering." Ben laughed. Across the street, Leah Ortiz entered the courthouse with a folder marked Original Files. The commission had cleared her, restored her assignment, and asked her to train recruits on evidence preservation. The public report arrived in November. It confirmed that Rusk ignored identification, failed to verify Miriam's account, and signed statements contradicted by video. He was dismissed after his disciplinary hearing. Mercer was demoted, removed from supervisory duty, and referred for review over report alteration and pressure on Ortiz. Names were read, findings entered, and the commission moved to procedure. The new rules required officers to record the legal basis for detention. Every report edit carried a visible history. Body camera originals were stored outside department control, and quarterly audits went to civilian reviewers. The west entrance received an intercom, clear signs, and a camera whose red light could be seen from the sidewalk. In December, Rear Admiral Shaw met Marcus beside Caleb's memorial plaque and handed him the amended service finding. "The record is corrected," she said. "Elena should receive this first. She already has a copy." He nodded. "Then we're done." "Are we?" Marcus looked across the courtyard. Naomi waited near the gate with 2 paper cups. "With this part." He placed the court ruling beneath Caleb's name, but kept the stained photograph. The coffee mark still crossed one corner. Behind it, the white dad card showed along the edge. Naomi handed him a cup. "Front row next time?" "Front row." They walked toward the street as the courthouse lights came on, one by one. The seat was no longer empty. Have you ever seen someone judged before the facts were checked, or watched a simple question turn into an abuse of authority? Share what happened in the comments, especially if one witness, recording, or quiet act of courage changed the outcome. Send this story to someone who believes dignity should never depend on status, rank, or who is willing to speak for you. Subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet resilience, and the difficult changes that follow when ordinary people refuse to let the truth disappear. And remember the people who do not have an admiral entering the courtroom for them. Sometimes justice begins with one person preserving the file, keeping the camera running, or refusing to sign a lie.